Hey, everybody, welcome to Big Red Sports Network. This is Big Red Live coming to you with a special interview. Today, we have Freedom High School coaching legend Marsha Crump with us. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine, thank you, and enjoying this nice, wonderful weather that God gave us today.
Amen.
Also, joining me today is another Freedom legend, Coach Tom Harper.
A legend in my own mind.
No, you're a legend. We'll just keep it that
Thank
simple.
you. We'll move
Today
forward.
we Today we bring in Coach Crump to talk about her legendary coaching career. She is a North Carolina High School Athletic Association Hall of Fame member and has a decorated career coaching basketball and tennis. Before we get started with the interview, I'm going to let Coach Harper kick off the interview here with his questions.
Number one, it is exciting to talk to you, Coach Crump. We ain't talked in a long. We ain't had lunch in a while.
I know, and I think that's your fault.
Okay, it's gonna be my fault. I'm gonna take responsibility for that. But there's a vicious rumor going around that you and Joanna Crew had lunch one day in town, and I was not invited. But I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna let it go. It's
Okay,
my fault. Here we go. First
okay.
question, Coach. What inspired you to become a coach and what drew you to women's basketball and tennis? And just give us an idea of what you loved about coaching.
Well, I think what inspired me was the first job I took. It was a at Morgan High School, and the coach. It was a coaching job with that women's coaching job, and of course I took that. And I always loved basketball at the level I played in high school. They didn't have it in college at that time, but the level that I played in high school, I loved it. And so it just sort of carried over. And then when we went to Freedom, we consolidated some pretty good players together. And I got a little bit more experience as I coached. And so I, I guess I just stayed with it all those years.
Tell me what the difference was between basketball then and basketball now.
Well, basketball then was played, and I coached the 4-on-2, which I had the rover, and that's what I played in high school. And then we I guess at some place at Morgan, we went 5-on-5 like the guys, and it became more of a game that I copied actually from probably watching the boys, the men's coach, and my husband that played at Lenoir, and it became the girls became more athletic, and I don't know why they ever played the other way or not anyway, but anyway, yeah, that's definitely a love for the sport the way it was played, and I think we played more like the men. And I'm not one of those that basically say equal rights with women or men. I just think you got to learn a lot from each other's sport and each other's coaching.
I agree.
Coach, can you tell us about your first coaching job and how that contributed to developing a philosophy that led to your successful career?
Well, it was at Morgan High School, and it was a disaster
Huh.
because I never really had experienced in what we were in. Of course, McDowell was a big rival back then. And as we got into, I guess, the second and third year before we consolidated, we actually won um, the conference that year. I can remember Doug Simmons coaching then, and he went to a meeting and brought us back some trophies. So we sort of carried that into at Freedom, and we consolidated, and we had players from that represented each school, and we were very successful that year. And we won the conference that year, and we went on to the playoffs, and we got beat at that game. I can't don't know where it was, but there was a girl I still remember. She was one to state. Her name was Gina Beasley, and she scored about 30 points that game. And she signed with state, and we got beat that game. So, but it was back different then because as you got into it, there wasn't divisions like it is now. There's divisions, like it was all one thing. I mean, we competed with Ford one year, and we played Bandies, and we went over to Ford to play, and that was like Dana Rader. She, bless her soul, she passed, but she was also a golfer, taught golf, and Carla Kincaid was another one that was very successful during that year, and Ford went on to win that thing at against the team down east, and it was all just one division. And I guess I don't really know when it broke up to be different divisions, but then we were 4A, which Freedom now is 3A, but we were at the highest enrollment, I think. And when I retired, we had close to 2,000 kids at Freedom, which, wow, it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about the consolidation era between that 1972, 1973 when Freedom High School opened up. Obviously, when Freedom consolidated, it consolidated multiple high schools into one high school. So how did you become the Freedom High School women's program's head coach? And what was the first couple years of coaching that team like? How was it? How do you build a culture for a brand new school that is consolidating multiple other schools?
Well, it was obviously I wasn't in competition with anybody. I got the job. I mean, I think nobody else really maybe wanted it or qualified for it. But then we had some good seasons through probably had some really good seasons. I can remember going to Burlington in the playoffs. Carolyn Harbison was a girl that played for us then. We got beat by a player that was named Sam Jones in Burlington. I still remember these little things. I can remember more of the losses than I can the wins and who we played against.
I think all coaches are like that.
Yeah, yeah. And so I know Carla went on to play at West Salem State, and then she came back and played at Lenoir and finished her 2 years. I can remember watching her play, and I was so proud. I mean, it's like, I guess like watching your child play.
That's right.
And maybe that's why I never had any children to compare that to. But I can understand why everybody thinks their daughter is the best or player. But then I'm getting sort of lost in this conversation. So as it goes on, we get in the 80s, and I have some good players. Tara Green, Andy Caraway played, had some really good players. And we were in the regional playoffs at East Burke. I remember going into the gym, and this girl did a reverse layup. And that girl was from North Mecklenburg, and her name was Andrea Stenson, that went on to be very successful at state. And I can remember going to the coaches clinic and talking to Kay Yao from North Carolina State. And she basically had recruited Rhonda Mapp from Asheville and Andrea Stenson that we played against. And those teams were beating us, and we ended up beating them in the near future. We played Andrea Stenson, and I said if she gets 50 points, we can't beat them, and she got 49. Kelly Roney was playing at that time, and we got beat by Asheville, and Asheville went on to play. We had lost a player, Tracy Wright, to being ineligible, and I won't go into that, but I have forgiven Tracy for that, and I've even spoken to her in this year at Freedom when I went to see them play. And her daughter's now playing for Freedom. But Kelly Roney said if we'd had Tracy, we would have won the state championship at that point. We probably would have, basically, but that's another story. So that's one I'm not obligated to go into. But thinking back, yeah, I mean, it just sort of was a building thing. And all of a sudden we had players. I mean, we had the players. We had come into Natasha Davis, Erica Mathis, and then they came in as sophomores, and then I was having freshmen in, Natalie Whitaker, which is now my dentist, Watts, Natasha Davis, Emily Leonard, Emily Garrison, and so basically we put together those championships, and we went in '88, got beaten like 3 overtimes, got in foul trouble, and we we won in '89. And I remember that game, and I was talking about team players at that time, and we got in foul. We were 2 minutes out of a championship, and I had a player named Crystal Ollis that was just a token player that came in, was academic, causing no problems, just happened to be on the team. And there's a place for her. When I put her in the game, I said, Crystal, you're to go in the game, and you're going to stand at the baseline. Don't get in the 3-second line, and you don't call for the ball. And players, we're not going to pass the ball to her because we can't put that pressure on her to hit the free throws because they're going to foul us. So we're going to get the ball in the hands of the players that can score the free throws, and we did. And she was very happy with that. But you told them what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I don't understand watching this NCAA men's and women's basketball. It, I don't understand how you don't tell the players things you're going to do. It's crazy
It's a
that way.
different game now, Coach. It's a
Yeah,
different.
yeah, I know. And we were very successful, and basically owe it to being able to coach players that way, and understood that I was the coach and they were the players, and this is what we're going to do. And I'm
It's obvious that your players accepted the expectations that you had for them, and when I was around you, the expectation wasn't winning, it was about being a winner and
yeah,
doing the right things and getting good and having good grades. And those things are few and far between now, especially on the college level. We could go on forever about the college level, but I got the next question, and I want to ask you this. What made Freedom High School such a special place for you? What was it about Freedom High School that kept you there all those years?
Kelly Roney asked me that one time, and she actually played for me, and she was a principal, and then she's retired now from the administration. But I told her, I said, you go to Freedom, and you're building a program, and you're having camps with the men's basketball, and the women are coming, the girls are coming, and then you're big enough to have your own camp. And so you got players out there that are seeing how you were doing in the '80s, which you were pretty successful, and then able to win it. And then you get into the '90s with these players, and why would you want to go anywhere else? I never asked for any special privileges. I taught 5 classes. When we went to 4 classes, I taught hour and a half block. I never asked for anything special. I always had a homeroom. I always did the things, and I never asked for anything special. And I think
That's
that
what made you special.
that counts for a lot.
Yes.
Um,
Now tell me this. It's
okay.
obvious that there was not only a successful women's program at Freedom High School, but there was a very successful men's program. So tell me, can you tell us a little bit about the working relationship you had with Coach Rogers and how important it was for setting the success for both basketball programs?
Uh, yeah. Terry was very successful with the Freedom men's team, and I watched him practice a lot. And actually, he was the athletic director, and things that happened, he was always very supportive of my program and of the program that we had at Freedom. And we were the first to go, and he acknowledged we were first to go to the championship in '88. And I can remember him saying, well, we're going to get T-shirts for the players, and we did buy them and brought them back that day. Um, he just ran the program because you went through a chain of command, and he was my chain of command. So you just did And I will say, basically, and I look sometime at the games, and I know the players are getting a lot of different uniforms. uh, probably had 3 sets of uniforms that we got when I coached over those years.
Well, that the
And it didn't
relationship.
matter what they had. The boys had. You just are happy to put a Freedom uniform on and be able
Yeah,
to suit the players up. So
the greatest thing about you and Coach Rogers is that one, you understood that you were just a link in the cog or a cog in the link or whatever, but you were just one of the coaches. You
right,
didn't put yourself above anybody else, and you outworked all of us. And the relationship that you had with Coach Rogers was built on respect because you knew he was the athletic director and that you were just doing your job. And that's what the expectation was. And Coach Rogers and you never had, I mean, I don't know if you ever had a foul word with each other, but I'm sure that, there were times when you stood up and said, this is what I need done. And there may have been some tough words at one point in time, but you always stayed in focus of you were just part of the team.
yeah, that's very true because I can think of situations, but I will not. That is between me and him, so that's nothing that I would ever go into with anybody at this ever because I respect the program that much that we had at Freedom, and he happened to be the AD, and he happened to be the men's basketball coach, which he was successful as we went through this, and people, I don't know, it's a tough call, really, because you can wish things were a little different, but you've got to stay within where you are and not fight against the system. And that's what I did with the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's another story, but
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. And hopefully we'll have a snippet of what you're thinking. But what I'm saying is that if you ever had any harsh words between you and Coach Rogers, it never showed on either side
no,
because both of you understood that it was about team. And once you left the room, regardless of what was said in that room, once you left the room, you were together on everything, and
right, we were
that's what made it so successful. You both of you understood that you were just part of the whole.
right. That's exactly right.
You got the next question, Joshua.
Okay,
Well, Coach, talking about basketball in Burke County area, you can always associate basketball in Burke County, McDowell County, Catawba County as a place where all those counties exceed the standard in basketball, and you always got your fair share of well-known rivalries. For example, Freedom always had a big rivalry with McDowell, always had a long-time rivalry with Hickory. Let's talk about the rivalries that you were able to coach in during your time as a coach. Which rivalries did you enjoy the most, and what are some of the opposing coaches that you enjoyed facing?
yeah, we were McDowell and Hickory. We were pretty much year in year out in those days to be who would win the conference or who would whatever. Mike Silvers at McDowell, he basically it was an excellent coach. David Elder and I hit heads, but in the end, David and I were really good friends, and he always thought I was getting things my way, and I could get David past. Forgive me, David. He's passed, but He always thought I was getting things my way with the refs. Mike, I don't know what Mike thought. I think Mike and Judy Keever, who's passed now, were pretty much buddies and maybe not so well. But Mike made one statement at the Hall of Fame, and I'm going there again, that he said that he told me there, he said, you always made me a better coach because I had to figure out a way to beat you. And in the end, Mike, that was true.
Amen.
Yep. Yep. So I
Well,
won't say anything else before I get myself in trouble. But I wasn't very well liked by the coaches in the year in, year out, and at camps and stuff. But it didn't make any difference to me whether I was well liked or not. I was taking care of my players. My
right.
players were the one that counted.
But you always had, there was a lot of respect between you and those coaches that you just talked about. They had a lot of respect for you because you didn't back down. You were going to take care of your players, and you were going to fight for your program at the time, regardless of who they may be.
Yep, that's so true. Yep.
So with that said, in high pressure games, what message would you like to put forth to your players in those moments? What are some of the things that you said to them to get them to stay steady and be strong in what you all were doing?
Well, I think with my better teams, we had like an 8-girl rotation, 8-woman rotation. And I think the players knew their roles that way. And basically, it was a timeout. I always said, I never told the kids before practice, this is what we got to do to win the games. I said, we've got to practice. If we practice that way, then the winning will come. Does that make sense?
Oh, sure.
You don't put the pressure on them and say, we got to do this to win the game tomorrow. You've got to practice these
You
things.
focused more on what you were doing and not what your opponent was doing.
Exactly. That's
I
exactly.
get it. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
So if you had a room full of ex-players and you were standing in front of them, what is one thing that you would want to say to them after all these years? What would you want to say to those young ladies?
I think the thing is that we had players that stepped up, and they stepped up for the team, and they weren't afraid. If I told them to go 3 or 4 times twice, if we had an unequal number, that they would have basically had done anything. And I think as a coach, you learn the players that you have that can do that. And when you have those players, and Natalie Whitaker Watts was the leader there in the times, and I don't know, and then you take that and you take every player on the team, and every player understands the role, and you tell them what that role is at the beginning of the season, and that role might not ever change, and they're hearing that role from the starters down to the bench, people that had to sit the bench and play their role in practice. They knew that role, and if they didn't like it, then they had to leave.
So you're saying that if you were in a room full of all these ex-players, you would want to say thank you for accepting your role regardless of what it was.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's you can use players' personalities to make everybody stronger, and you know what the personalities are. And I would say we had players that we had to let go. Even getting into the playoffs, we had players we had to let go because they weren't producing what we needed at that time. So yes, they did. They stepped up and they took. I've often said I don't know if I could have played for myself, but but they played for me, and they did play, and they performed well.
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Can't hear you.
Okay.
I made the rookie mistake of muting myself there.
He muted
And
himself.
yeah. Had some
Go
people
ahead.
talking.
You
I was trying
got
to
the
close the
question,
window.
Joshua.
So let's talk about the program of the Lady Patriot program. Obviously, it's a very storied program. We asked you a moment ago to talk about what one things you'd say to players that you've coached, but let's take a time for you to reflect on talking about players that you've coached throughout the years. What players come to mind, and who has stood out to you the most?
Okay, I have to start with Carla Kincaid. She was back in the early days at Freedom, and we still somewhat see each other. She's back in Morganton, and she's playing 3-on-3 at the senior lady staff. I guess her early years there and going on into the 80s was Tara Green. Tara Green was a great person. She was valedictorian of that class that year, and we were getting into the playoffs. Carolyn Harbison was a good one back in the 70s, where she was very athletic. I'm trying to think players as we get into those years. And then you got the Natalie, you got the Emily Leonard, you got Natasha Davis, you got um, Natasha Davis, you got Tina. I can't think of the big girl that I had that played.
You don't have to remember all of them.
That played a part into the role. And I'm on Facebook actually with some of them that I am. And then I hate to leave anybody's name out there. I really would. Erica Mathis, that was such a good player. And she got hurt. She tore her ACL, and she played in college. But yeah, that's just a handful of them that I can think right now.
If you could figure out more, but it's suffice to say you had a bunch of young ladies that really made not only an impact on the program, but an impact on you as well, correct?
Oh, definitely. Definitely had an impact on me. Tina.
See your face, Marsha. There we go.
I can't think of Tina's last name. She's a guidance counselor now, but we went to the playoffs and got beat, and she was actually a captain with Natalie, I think, one year. She's a big girl. I cannot think of her last name, and I'm on Facebook. She knows who she is. But this little thing like this is, I come we're playing, and she goes into the dressing room, and I was always big on the players wearing the same socks. Gemma Smith, I got to tell Gemma Smith in the 80s, I got to put her name there. Anyway, she said when we went in the dressing room, Lynn went in there and she said, first thing that Tina said was, pull your socks up. You know, Coach Crump wants us to wear our socks all pulled up the same. And I thought, yeah,
That's
we're on the right
awesome.
way. Well, we won the state championship that year, but they had to learn that. So, yeah, we did the next year. So that same year.
It sounds like they bought in.
I don't know why. Anyway, there's just a whole handful of players. I can't even think. Yeah.
That's perfectly fine, Coach. I mean, you think about it, the success that you've had throughout your career, you're going to have a lot of great players to talk about. And if you were to name every single player that had an impact on that program and the winning that it had throughout your time as a coach, this live stream would take days.
Yeah, you would. There's no way. You've been out of it too long.
Yeah, that's true. I have.
So give yourself a break.
Yep.
Before we move on to some more questions, I just wanted to go ahead and show something to our crowd to basically give a bit of a scope of your legendary career. This is some of the statistics that we were able to pull about you and your career going throughout the entirety of your career.
We ain't going to be able to live with you now.
We're gonna start out with the time at Freedom High School, just from 73 to 95. 1976 Northwestern 4A Coach of the Year. In 1978, you were named the assistant coach for the East-West All-Star Game. 1985 Conference Coach of the Year. 86 Conference Coach of the Year. 1990 Conference Coach of the Year. In 1990, named the head coach for the East-West All-Star Game. 1993 Conference Coach of the Year. And then in 1995, the Associated Press State Coach of the Year. In those 2 years, 94 and 95, Freedom going 56-2 overall in those 2 years. And reflecting on your career as a basketball coach, you had a 522 and 122 career record, 509 of those coming at Freedom High School in those 24 years at Freedom. You had 5 state championship appearances, 3 state championships. It is insane to just look at the history of success that you were able to achieve. And not only that, you were able to consistently produce that success year in and year out. And one question I want to ask is, how do you find that consistency year to year to where your program is constantly playing deep in the playoffs and having, state championship appearances? I mean, you're talking about like 5 in about a 7-year, 5 state championship appearances in a 7-year span.
Well, I think it became like contagious once we put the first picture up in the gym. I think everybody saw that, it's possible. And I remember at camps, we had I remember one year we had 95 girls, and I can remember playing the tape so the players could see it. So I think it's just basically, it just boils down to people being in the right place at the right time, and you have an opportunity to set goals and you work hard. It may happen, and it did. That's about sums it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, that's, it's very, very contagious when it can be. And just seeing that statistic of 5 state championship appearances in 7 years is just insane to me.
Here's what I'd like to say before we move on to your next question. In the world that we live in of individualism and huge egotistical crap, it is still nice to hear a coach that puts all the players first and talks about her winning when it, as a team deal. And she never, in the time that we're talking here, has she ever taken credit for any of that list of stuff that you put down. And that's what I love about her, is that it's always been about the team. And how refreshing it is to hear that kind of stuff in the world we live in right now. But it also is a world gone by, isn't it, Coach Crump?
Yes, it definitely is a world that's gone by. I would have never had what you just read in honors had it not been for my players. And they are the ones that deserve that honor. And I think, that's, I can almost sit here and shed tears about how close and how hard we worked.
Those girls were your children. You loved them like they were yours.
I did.
And they know that.
Yeah. I hope they know it. I mean, I'm sure they do know it, the ones basically. And it starts back. We were just so successful in the 80s and that when we first started coaching. We had a lot of times that we weren't that successful, but we all stayed with it. And then, I had Nicole Hayden. I think Nicole Hayden, she's back in the early 90s, and where we went, and I don't think they got a chance to go because Hickory beat us, and Hickory went. And then it was like Hickory went and won, and McDowell went sometime and won, but none of them won the championships that we did. That prolonged with my players through the 90s.
Well, Coach, one more thing I wanted to ask you, and this is a bit off the script because I didn't put this down on the script, Harper. This is off the script. What does it mean to you when you go back to Freedom High School, being able to look up on that wall, see the kids that helped build the program that it is today, and not only that, but look up in the rafters and see the Freedom High School gymnasium named after you?
Well, I have to credit that to Joanna Crew that I taught with at Freedom, and is just precious person, just is so thoughtful and good to me, and Tom too. Yeah, she cared about us, and then she went to Alexander, and you were there. She said she left. And what was the question again?
What? How's it feel to walk into the gym? And tell me how that correlates to Joanna.
Well, Joanna texted me and said she was coming to Hickory in January. And she said, would you be interested in meeting me and having dinner and then going to the gym? And I texted her back, I could not have dinner because I'm working at the spa and I've got obligations here, but I can come to the gym. So she said, fine. And so I went sometime in January and I drove up there. I could never go in that gym by myself.
Why?
There's too many memories and there's too many things that I compare with what's going on in the games. And without stepping on toes, when you coach, when I coached at Freedom, I go in there maybe twice. And I know Joanna wanted me to go in there and she wouldn't leave me. And I stayed and watched the little boys play. The boys, not little boys, but watched the boys play. And I just have a hard time not comparing things.
It's just tough.
It's tough because it's not my team. And Joanna, when I walked in, Joanna was sitting there with Coach Davis, and the lady said, I said, I have a pass. And she said, well, I'll need to see it. And Joanna said, she owns the gym.
That's right.
And I said, well, she don't know that. So anyway, she said, I got to let people know you're here. I said, no, you don't. I said, you're not going to let anybody know I'm here. I said, Joanna and I'm worried about where we're going to see it because I can't walk up down the bleachers. So we walked down to our side, Freedom side, and somebody was sitting there, and she said, I'm sure they won't mind because I didn't have a rail there. My knees are that bad. I have to hold on. So they moved, and we sat there the whole time, and we had players that come by and talked and stuff, and they didn't know me because I was blonde, and I'm not blonde on this video. I just went, I'm sort of anyway, I'm not going gray.
Was it a good trip? Were you glad you went?
Yeah, because the banners are up in the gym now. The banners. Joanna sent me pictures she took of the banners of all the championships of Freedom are in the gym. And the Sweet 16, they're all up there now. And they weren't up there, and I didn't know they'd put that Crump Rogers in the gym. We'd gone to a school board meeting where they showed us that, but I hadn't seen it up. So it's up. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. But I cannot walk in that gym by myself because there's too many memories and there's too many things how I did things. And that's not the way that it is. They have to be their own person, not the way I want them to be. They have to be their own coach.
Well, Coach, obviously we spent some time talking about basketball, but you also had great success coaching tennis as well. Can you share some favorite memories of leading the tennis program at Freedom?
Yeah, I had some really good players, and I got people. We did not have much of a program there because, when I retired from coaching, I can remember Coach Rogers said our tennis program was going to go up. because you're going to take care of that. And it did, because I had time to do tennis lessons with kids, and I got people, girls that wanted to play tennis in my tennis classes and advanced tennis. And I taught tons of lessons. And I had some kids coming in. Leslie Boggs was one that she had played the tournaments outside of state tournaments. And I had a girl from foreign exchange student that came in that was a tennis player and that went to the playoffs. And we did. I remember the year we beat Watauga. It was such a great feeling. But I had really good players then, and we worked at it. So, but I couldn't do that when I was coaching basketball. I was just coaching tennis to be somebody to coach them. So,
So
and I had good.
did you approach coaching tennis the same way you did basketball?
No, no way. Tennis was girls that came out and enjoyed it. Of course, I had the rules that we had. I didn't. I had my own set of rules, and that's what we did. And if the players were good people, they were. I can't get into a lot of things that I'm thinking myself right now, but the girls really enjoyed the sport. They enjoyed the game of tennis, and that's where it needed to be. We didn't have country club players. We didn't have like players that were taught lessons. They basically were taught through my method. I did have some that took private lessons, and I encouraged them to. But some of them, that cost money. So,
So you just
Kristen,
approached it differently.
yeah, and Kristen married the Shade boy, the guy that's coaching at Freedom. I can't think of her name back then, but Kristen was one that stayed with me. And those players, if they helped me in practice with other players and things, then I gave them private lessons. And John Zimmerman was one that helped me. That's Clint's brother that helped me in the summers. But yeah, I mean, we worked for a program, but no, it wasn't nowhere on the same scale as we did with basketball, because tennis is an individual sport, and
Yeah.
and I
Let
had
me
my
ask you,
ways. Yeah, go ahead.
let me ask you this question. When you look back on your career, and I know this is it was a long time, but what are you most proud of? And what about your time makes you smile now?
I think it was basically having touched so many lives and their lives touching me,
Amen.
and that they were successful. It You can't put wins in that. It's life. If you're successful in life, then a lot of good things can happen for you. And basically, I don't know all of them, but I know most of them that played for me, associated with me in tennis and basketball, that have very successful lives, and they they just did the right things. And
Amen.
somebody once said to me, one of my players said, "Why did that person always be successful? Because they always tried to do the right things." And that's got to be on top of your list.
Amen. So when you're not here, we're all going to pass away.
Exactly.
You're dead and gone. What do you hope people remember about you as a coach and as a person?
I think it's how they touched my life to make me be who I was.
So it's really it's the relationship.
Yes. Yes.
And I can tell by being around you that that was always more important than you wanted to win. There wasn't anybody that wanted to win any more than you did, but not at the expense of losing a young lady and losing the what basketball could give them. Am I
Right.
correct? in that?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
And
That's
that's exactly why you have the relationship you have with all these young ladies and coaches, because you kept the priority.
exactly. You said
So
it.
I understand it completely. I think that's why you and I get along so well. Though I do need to end this with a story.
Okay.
This is going to
And
be
you're going
interesting.
to remember this very well, Marsha Crump, because it's
Okay.
the first time
I'm
that you
listening.
and I really got to know each other. But one day in the weight room, Joshua, we shared the weight room. Girls and guys lifting together was not a problem. One day, there were these little piston things that we used to put in the selectorized machines, but it also was used to bring up the two sides of the bench to establish a level for your arms. So
So yeah,
I
well,
saw her one day walk over and she just took one out of the bench press and took it over to the selectorized machine where the ladies were working out. And I went, "What is she doing?" Well, we exchanged a few words and started working out again. And at the end, We were walking out into the gym. And long story short, we had a conversation right there in the middle of the gym, and she turned to walk away, and I said, just like a woman to walk away when things are getting hot. And boy, she turned around and she gave me the fourth degree,
I
and
did.
she let me have it, and I deserved it because I both said some things that both of us are competitors. We wanted to win. We wanted to win the argument. But the greatest thing about it is she did not hold anything against me. I didn't hold anything against her, and we became the best of friends and laugh about it now.
Yep.
At the time,
It's heated.
it was heated.
I
Yes.
can't say what I said to you on air.
No, you cannot, and I can't say either what I
Oh
said,
no.
but I'm gonna tell you right now, I have had the great fortune of being around a lot of great coaches, Joshua. We not only as a coach's son, but then as a 34-year career in coaching. And I'm telling you right now, Marsha Crump is, if not the best, she's in the top two of coaches that I know. She could have coached football, and I asked her to at one point in time. She wouldn't do it. She had too much going on with tennis and basketball, but she could have coached football. And Marsha, you know what you mean to me, and I just want you to know that when Joshua and his daddy talked about doing this, I wasn't going to let anything get in the way of being able to talk to you about your stellar career,
Well, I
because
appreciate it, Tom and Coach Hopper.
you made a big
And
difference in a lot of young people's lives.
yeah, well, yeah, but you give yourself credit too. I mean, you give yourself credit with the same. You might not have the championships, but you have the relationships that you had with those football players, and I know that. But it doesn't always come in and winning the big ones. I guess it was at a certain time. It was like, there's a time that you playing players like Andrew Stenson, Rhonda Mapp, and then they're going and winning the championships, and then it's your turn, and the players know that. But that's beyond that. Touching young man's life that you did, and we did have our words, and I know I didn't back down that day. And you won't believe this. I'm gonna tell you right now. that I was just 4 hours ago at the home of a lady that I'm working with. She's 88 years old. She's has cancer, and I go over there and we're working out. And I tell her I don't want her to listen to this interview, and she says, "Well, I want to." And I said, "I'm going to tell you one story about Coach Harper." And she said, and I told her how it was. She said, "Well, good for you, Coach. Good for you, Marsha." So, I mean, I'm talking about these things to 80. I'm working with people that are 89, 88, silver sneaker class of 40 people. And it's the same standards. It's the
That's
same.
the greatest thing about it is that you're taking the same. You're doing the same thing with these silver sneaker people. You're
Yep.
still coaching them and putting your life into them and just pouring yourself into these people because that's what you do.
Exactly right. And it's just a blessing. And you think I'd get tired of doing it, but no,
Well, I
I'm
think you've got
blessed.
to the point now where it sustains you.
Yeah, I'm blessed to be able to still do this and the people. But the thing about it is, it's just build a program. You build a program, and you're able to come and do it. You're able to get yourself in shape, or able to do this. And yeah, and I'm not going to say anything else. That's it.
It's never been about you. It's
Well,
always been about other people.
it is about other people, because
That
I
is
wouldn't be
the
doing what
greatest
I'm doing if they didn't come.
if there is
I
ever
need you to
a
come.
point, it's that you are consistent in loving other people and pouring yourself into them to make them feel better. Especially
Well,
with this 88-year-old lady. Number one, I deserve some time with her so I can give her my side of the story. For one.
I
Number
know
two,
she's
she's 88 years old and you're coaching her and she's feeling better because of what you're putting into her.
well, we're trying.
What a blessing. What a
Yes.
blessing.
Well, Coach, it's been an honor to get a chance to talk to you today and go over your legendary career, just talk to you and get some insights on just your side of the story and how it's shaped up the history of Freedom women's basketball. And I do want to surprise you with something here because we were able to get a special guest to send in a little video that we wanted to play for you here at the end of this live stream because they wanted to express to you how much they mean to how much you mean
Okay.
to them and the program.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Okay.
Hey, Coach. Glad you could join the show on the Big Red Sports Network. We just want you to know that we still value all the leadership and lessons you provided in your time here at Freedom. We talk about you often and the groundwork that you laid for the success of our program. I always tell people to this day, you're the reason that I believe in being early everywhere I go. You've been a true trailblazer for women's basketball, not only in this community, but throughout the state. It's been an honor to play for you and to coach in the program that you built. And we here at Freedom wish you all the best.
Yeah, Amber. I probably did not mean to not leave her name out, but yeah, she played for me, and her ambition was to coach, and she was able to take over the program, and she's been quite successful and done a lot outside. I understand she just got an award from the state on everything that you do outside of coaching and being coaching.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's holding up the standard really well.
Yeah, she is.
She probably does a lot of the same things that you've done, but she's added her little touch to it too. And that's the hard part about going back sometimes and watching because you know what you feel like should be seen, but it's not always seen that way. So
That's so
the hard
true. That's the statement. That's why it's so hard to walk in that gym by myself. But Joanna Crew gets me in there. So
I'm glad she did, because you needed to see that court had your name on it.
Yep, I did. I did. So, yeah, Joan was special for that. And she, I mean, she never misses my birthday. She tells me she loves me, and I tell her I love her, and we generally do love each other, even though we don't see each other very much. And you too. I don't
So
see you
you
very
know
much.
now why I wanted her to Alexander Central when I was there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
And
she's
she did,
just a special lady.
and she stepped up to the plate.
Yes,
She
ma'am.
she
Yes,
did.
ma'am.
She surely did. So yeah, yeah, a lot of
Do
good
you have
friendship. Yep.
anything else you want to say?
No, I think I pretty much said it all. I just am very honored to be able to do this and be able to mention. And I apologize if there's names I didn't mention that it should have been mentioned. But
Well, those
it's,
people that did not get their names mentioned, they're coming to get you tomorrow.
yeah, I know they probably are. But they
And
can come
you
on
know
in here.
what?
I'll be working. I'll
Your
be at.
players know enough about you to know that if they didn't get mentioned, you're still thinking about them.
Yep, yep, yep.
And I again thank you for allowing me to be a part of this too, because I love you.
Well, I have a feeling you pushed this, Coach Harper. So I have a feeling you sort of pushed this on, but I
I
appreciate it. I
pushed it
really
when I
do.
knew that you were part of it. I wanted to be a part of it.
Yep. And the Big Red Sports I follow all the time on my Facebook. I look at it every day and go into different things that's on there, uh, and and it's good that you cover some of Catawba County, but and in the Burke County schools. So, but
They're
anyway.
doing a great job.
Yep, Coach, I just wanted to say on behalf of me and Big Red Sports Network, we truly appreciate you taking time to talk to us. Be quite honest with you, when we hoped to reach out to you, we didn't know if you'd even heard of us. So to hear that you have high praise for us, it's a blessing to hear that. And we thank you for being an avid follower for us. And like I said, it's great to have you on here and talk about your career, because obviously in Burke County you are probably the GOAT when it comes to women's high school basketball. So it's been an honor to get to talk to you and talk about your legendary career.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's fun to reminisce, and it's amazing how it's amazing that I remember the things that probably more mistakes than things than I did what it took to win
That's
it.
what coaches do. They
It's funny that way. You remember that all the way
they
back.
highlight the negative.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Well, the old say, you learn a lot from your mistakes if you let it happen, and
Amen.
you do learn a lot from your mistakes. So,
All right. Well,
okay.
we're gonna go ahead and sign out here for today. Thank you everybody for tuning in to Big Red Sports Network today. We, as always, we appreciate you for following and keeping up with the Big Red Sports Network, and we will catch y'all next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Love you.